Hello and welcome. We are discussing tradition. So what is tradition? The past in me or the past in you would be the tradition, right? Tradition is a series of knowledge or rituals or whatever it is that we've come to associate with the past, and it carries on into the present, and that is all tradition. And the reason it carries on into the past, because there's a strong belief associated with that past to be an everlasting truth. Otherwise, it will have no place in the present. And why does it have an everlasting truth? Why does past have an everlasting truth? Because we believe certain aspects of the past to be sacred, as divine and as everlastingly true, and it carries on into the present. There are organized belief systems, of course, around the tradition. There is Hinduism, there is Islam, there is Christianity, there's all sort of organized belief systems. There is also organized belief systems around other traditions. There's capitalism, communism, socialism. All these are traditions carry on from the past into the present, and we just believe them to be true, and our lives are revolved around this tradition. Then we are taught to be disciplined about tradition, right? If we go against a certain tradition, be it anything, no judgments and no condemnation, be it anything, a child would be taught to be disciplined around that tradition. And by discipline, it would essentially mean to conform to a set pattern of the past. Now, in the word tradition at its very root, it's very interesting. The word tradition at its very root comes from a word called treason. It comes from a word called betrayal. That is, in following a certain tradition, I am betraying the present and I'm rooting my life back into the past. We follow tradition on a belief system, and we follow tradition based on certain fears that if I don't follow it, how will I belong? And that to me is not really discipline, that to me is fear. The word discipline means to learn, right? Disciple, it comes from a word called disciple. It means to learn, it means to discover the truth. And the only way that I can be disciplined is to pay attention to the present. And when I pay attention to the present, to understand its totality of what is happening, what is the reality, what is the actuality, which means to put tradition aside for a while, pay attention to the present and pay total attention to the present, it comes with its own discipline into life. And that is true discipline, because that discipline is born out of learning or discovering the true nature of the truth. It's not rooted in tradition, and it's not rooted in the past. So the sacred thing is not a creation of past rituals and worship and memory of the past. The sacred thing is something that comes upon as an understanding of paying total attention to the present, to others, to their sorrow, to their suffering. And out of that, there is something called a feeling of love. And that love for life would mean that there is no need for any sacred books or tradition or teachings or something. That can be put aside, because now I really understand the true nature of it in any way whatsoever. And that love for life creates goodness, right? Creates beauty, which means I'm not operating from my own sense of self or from the past of tradition. I'm operating from a sense of now, from an understanding of sorrow and suffering, which is now converted into love and passion. And that love and passion creates goodness. And in that goodness, there is no room for tradition, because goodness is in the present. And this goodness doesn't come, even though I can be rooted I can be a religious scholar for all you care. But that doesn't mean that I'll be creating goodness out there, because I might be so rooted in the past and the defense of the past that I might not pay attention to the present. And when I pay attention to the present, I get to this level of goodness, and that goodness can only be created now, not in the past. So in goodness, there is no room for tradition. And that's the reason people call this word, or the root meaning of this word is itself betrayal, because it's betraying what is now. And the opportunity in the now is to create something that is good, something that is beautiful, and that does not happen through tradition.